So as you can see here, I have gotten some stuff. I finally got around to going to the e-waste drop-off thing. So I finally dropped off some e-waste, and by volume I dropped off more than I took back, but by weight I probably didn't. Yeah, I took several motherboards mostly, and a couple of old DirecTV receivers. The motherboards were indeed all completely shot. The closest to living one there would have needed me to desolder the BIOS chip and flash it manually, at least. And also restore all the heat sinks and stuff that I took off of it, because it's a laptop board. But anyway, so I have seemed to have come back with 3 displays. This one is a TV, that one is a monitor, and then this one is obviously a monitor as well. But anyway, I did check the 2 screens in here for cracks before I left, and they are indeed good. There was no computers there, which I found very strange. So anyway, I guess we'll start with this TV, considering it has a power cord attached to it. Oh right, there's two Powerline adapters as well. Completely forgot about those. I think they're just fast Ethernet speed, but could be useful for something, I suppose. So anyway, this is an Element ELEFW195, so 19-inch screen, very small, but could be good. It's not that much smaller than my TV out here. And it is very light. Not that there's much need for weight in flat screens these days, but it is very light. Okay, we've got a power LED. Let's see. Press the power button. And sure enough, look at that. I think there's not even so much as imperfections in here. I think the only thing that's possibly able to be considered wrong with it is how it's dirty. So that's pretty cool. I don't know what I'll do with such a small TV. Maybe it's worth a little bit on eBay, I don't know. But maybe my mom would want it for somewhere. It's not a smart TV, of course, but take a look at the inputs. Well, of course, there's 2 fairly large speakers on the bottom of it for its size, so that's kind of cool. Strangely, digital audio out. Well, out I guess would make sense, because digital audio doesn't do this thing any good. Not composite. RCA plugs for audio in. Hybrid composite and I forget what the Y stand for. But hybrid composite and component ports, VGA, and a little audio input for a thing that's nice to have, actually. There's not always a dedicated one. And then over here, you've got a USB port, presumably for a flash drive or powering an antenna amplifier, and a hybrid digital and analog tuner. You don't really see ones that are not hybrid. And somewhat surprisingly, though maybe not for the price, the lone HDMI port. So if you wanted multiple HDMI devices, you'd have to find one that you can convert to component or VGA, or you'd have to purchase an HDMI splitter, or get a better TV if you were buying that new. And then we have this monitor. So this is an HP W2072A. I really don't need more monitors, but it looks like 20 inches. It could be 1080p. That would be fairly dense 1080p, but it definitely happens. This one might actually have some scuffs that I won't be able to just clean off. We'll have to see. On the back, it apparently, yes, it does have speakers. They're here and here. And there is audio input for said speakers. Digital only DVI, not that unusual. And a analog input for VGA. So it's definitely not a super high-end monitor, whatever it is. And there's a sticker on the back that says what I already told you, the model number and all that. Okay, so let's go ahead and plug this in. No instant smoke. Blue light, so it must be trying to turn on. Oh. Strange. There was also a fairly big TV there that I didn't bring it out into the sun to check, but it looked like it had no problems. Of course, you always run the chance of the display board being dead, but outside of some early 2010s Funai TVs, that's honestly not all that common. So yes, that is certainly something. And the big ticket item, at least in terms of me and viewers of this channel, would obviously be this guy, the Gateway 2000 Crystal Scan 1776 LE. How patriotic. Declaration of Independence. I'm sure that's exactly what they intended, and not that it's like 17 inches and, I don't know, 76 something. So, power button. I think that's off, hopefully, because I want to be dramatic. Pin, I forget what that does. Rotate, pin cushion, I think. Horizontal size. I've never seen one with such an advanced control panel. One would assume that this won't have an on-screen display then, so I'll have to get something to power it, or well, to initialize the display. And the only reason I really took this one over the other ones there is the fact that it has the ability to connect your own cables, because while they seem to be very, very open about taking stuff out of there, they snip cables off the backs of CRTs. I don't know why, and it really bothers me. Because there was even a fairly nice Packard Bell CRT there, and, well, you might think, well, it's not that hard to attach a VGA cable, and you'd be right. And in fact, I may actually pick up that Packard Bell cable, or Packard Bell monitor, geez. So let's see, I'm going to plug it in here. No immediate smoke, but it probably is a hardware power switch. Okay, degauss. Can't be doing too badly. Nothing appearing on the screen, however, it's not going into standby. It's just, you've got brightness. User preset. Okay. Let's, okay. Turn these up a fair bit. I don't know. It must just not really have a standby mode or something. Nope. Okay, so a monitor is connected, and you can see something is attempting to display on the screen. Allow me to close this door. And, let's see. Oh, okay. We still got a fair bit of brightness here, a bit of bleeding on the side, but that honestly is probably normal for these sorts of things. Okay, so surprised how well this is displaying on the camera. It's not too bad. Okay, so I have to flip this. Apparently it's outputting to both. Okay, this also does Windows. I probably should have just went into Windows, but oh well. Let's see, does this button to switch the monitor do anything here? No, I wasn't expecting it to, though. And you can see that even though no adjustment has taken place so far, it does have a fairly good picture. A little bit fuzzy, but who knows if it's even set to the right thing. And oh my god, I forgot this. I forgot how bad this touchpad is under Linux. Okay, we're gonna go into Windows XP so I can be able to, use the touchpad. If anybody knows how under antics you can make the touchpad go to like 8 billion sensitivity, let me know, because I could quite appreciate it. Oh, I guess you just need a cable connected for it to go into standby. But yes, like I said, there were some other monitors there and that big TV. Maybe I would consider doing something with them should I go back, well, when I inevitably go back, and hopefully there will be computers that time. Okay, so the picture, well, that's unhelpful. We've made it to a desktop on the CF29, and I shall attempt to initialize this monitor using more correct settings, because Windows seems to be losing the plot as far as what it thinks it should do. Okay, let's start small. Okay, I'd consider that a success. Almost. I did not even know that you could do separate color depths for different monitors, but that's exactly what I've done. Because if I move this over to here, you can see that it says 8-bit. And I'm pretty sure this monitor is capable of any number of colors. And indeed it is. So let's go ahead, let's be a little bit more daring. Obviously needs to be readjusted because it's our 1024 by 768 is looking awfully widescreen. But let's tick this box. Let's be incredibly dangerous here, and somehow turn off this monitor. Let's try 75 Hertz. I wouldn't be surprised if we can even get to 100. Though 75 Hertz is already showing that it may not be exceptionally happy about that. 85? Maybe that was just a glitch. I don't know. I mean, it's definitely getting more fuzzy, so we're not doing very well. Oh dear, that's a bad sound. I don't know if said bad sound means anything bad, but okay, let's see what 70 Hertz does. I mean, ultimately 60 is what I'll decide on for this video because that'll look best, but honestly 70 is pretty good. I'm lucky that didn't revert to 100 or something. I think we're already on 60, but just apply it to be sure. Well, it changed something. Weird how the monitor kind of, or the thing kind of bounces around. So, preset. Apparently it doesn't remember currently. Yeah, that's a thing. I like analog controls for that. Whee! Okay, let's see, vertical size. We want it to fill the monitor, right? Right. Okay, that's a bit more than full. Okay, and horizontal size, whatever that might be. Nope, that's not horizontal size. Oh god, now I gotta center it again. I hit phase. That's my problem. Okay, and pin cushion. It out a little bit. How about that? That's not too bad looking, is it? Let's see. Let's see, how far am I from the top? That's the top. And for reference at the bottom. Isn't this a lot more fun than than LCDs? And I only mean that somewhat sarcastically. I mean, I'd need an actual proper monitor thing to really properly align this, but to my eyes, that looks fairly good. And, recall program. I'm probably gonna hate myself for hitting this, but oh, that does nothing. It must be because there was no settings saved. I don't know. Recall. Ah. Oh God. You're right. That's it. Ah. Why did I do that? I knew what was gonna happen. However, one thing that I will do is engage party mode. Though, of course, I probably should let it be because it seems to degauss every time it initializes, not caring about time, so it's probably best to not overuse it because those things will actually burn out. I mean, the monitor will still work usually, but it of course can't degauss itself anymore. So this is the Gateway 2000 Crystal Scan 1776 LE. It may be slightly tired, to be perfectly honest, but it's not too bad, is it? Let's see what that looks like. Honestly, I think it might just be better. I mean, 800 by 600 is kind of low on a 15-inch visible screen, but honestly, I think it's probably just slightly more meant for that, which isn't crazy. I mean, anything old enough to run Gateway to have the Gateway 2000 logo and not Gateway is at least into the Windows 98 territory, but most likely 95. So anyway, that's pretty good, isn't it? Just a quick little update on this monitor. First off, I completely underestimated its age. I don't know. I guess that's fairly legible. It's apparently from late 1993, and I guess I don't know too much about CRTs from the early 90s, but 17-inch, though really 15-inch, I'd imagine, visible. 17-inch screens seem kind of bonkers for that period, especially ones that can do 1280 by 1024 and have a good time doing 1024 by 768, and of course a great time doing 800 by 600, which is it's most certainly going to be more meant for. And as you can see, I've opened it. Surprisingly not too bad in the dust department. There's some, but no big issues that were causing the smell. It's just vintage dust being smelly, as it happens to do. I won't do too much of a extended clean in here because it really doesn't need it, but I just figured that I'd show you the inside. Anyway, high voltage parts always seem to attract a lot of dust, but that's obvious why. That's a big resistor right there, isn't it? Maybe it's a, well, I don't know. I don't think it's a refusistor. I think it's just a giant resistor. Oh, that's a dial there. I should be careful not to turn that. But yes, anyway, that's about it for the internals of the monitor here. It's really quite fancy. Okay, so now that I've unplugged the computer, we're gonna go ahead and, oh, it's already displaying to it, and it's already, let's see, yeah, it's not being adventurous with the resolution, but I mean, honestly, that's probably for the better, isn't it? Honestly, it looks a lot worse on the camera than it does in person, but I know it's just solid blue, but it gives you kind of an impression. But finally, we're logging in after it's given up contacting the domain because it cannot. We will go ahead and attempt to set this to its native resolution, whatever that might be. This VGA cable is, in my opinion, flimsy, but if the native resolution happens to be 1080p, it should be able to handle it, because it came with a Dell monitor that does indeed support 1080p. So, let's see. Presently, it wants a maximum of 1600 by 1200. That isn't... Is there a way to, like, detect what resolution it's capable of? List all modes. It might just be too painful to do it with this one, honestly. Oh, okay. I finally figured out how to do this as the primary monitor. Okay, so let's screw that. Let's trust the Intel thing. I feel like we have slightly better chance of success. Display settings. Okay. No. This is not going to be right. Nope. Okay, so 1600 by 900 is the native resolution. And of course, that's completely not legible by the camera. So anyway, we've proven that it works. This computer can't do it, obviously. At least not with these current drivers, or... Well, maybe just mangling a monitor file would be enough. But I don't care. It wouldn't see use with this computer anyway. This does technically do VGA, but this Element 1, but we can safely assume that it does 720p, and that it is probably a relatively poor monitor. However, that being said, I'm sure it does okay. But anyway, let's set this back. Well, maybe we could be really fancy and just use these keys, couldn't we? Wouldn't that have been smart? This whole time I could have just done that, and it would have worked, because it's how it's meant to do. But anyway, so that's it for the monitors. I guess we'll take a quick look at the power adapters. An update on this monitor. To my amazement, all of the scuffs seem to have cleaned off. So perhaps they weren't really scuffs, but it's only 1600 by 900, as I said, which puts it in the category for me of not really anything special, but it's perfectly serviceable, and perhaps I'll even find a use for it at some point. I'm not really sure, and I don't know what's going on with this, but there is text here. Nothing I have seems to be able to capture it. I don't know why. It's perfectly legible for me. Okay, so we've got Powerline adapter number 1, no instant explosions. Powerline adapter, well, maybe we shouldn't put it right next to it. Number 2. Okay, so they've paired to each other. Obviously, time is the only thing that can tell in terms of long-term reliability. But I used to have a couple of Powerline adapters, and besides from being terrible over long distance, and with possible interference on the line, they did work. One of them was definitely intended to be the receiver, because it had 4 ports, so it was at most a switch. So it probably could have went both ways if you cared enough, but these definitely look like they're meant to be mixed and matched in any direction whatsoever. So anyway, thank you for watching, and feel free to leave a comment if you have one, and have a good day or night or whatever.